Hello everyone, I'm Sam from Cinch and this is Hyundai's new Ioniq 5. Now it's not every day that you get to do something that other people haven't done before, but here we are at Rockingham Speedway with this Hyundai in UK right-hand drive spec so that we can test drive this rival to the likes of Ford's Mustang Mach-E and the Volkswagen ID.4. Now they are SUVs, they're all electric. This looks like a hatchback, but it is actually about an SUV sized car. Kind of tricks the eye a little bit. Now we're going to get to take the car out on track to test out its electric performance. Oh, that's quick. We're going to play with all of its cool technology inside, and we're going to show you one very unique feature that gives this car a USP over its rivals. So come on, let's take a closer look. It looks pretty cool, doesn't it? It looks like it comes from an 80s sci-fi movie. I really like these blocky LED day running lights. And you can obviously see that this is a proper EV because it doesn't have any filled in grills. It's not shared with any petrol models. So everything is just clean and crisp. You do have some details here to make it look not too much like a fridge freezer, but otherwise it's just really clear and crisp. A feature I really like of EVs, and this car has fully embraced, is the thick tyre. These Michelins here are wrapped around an aerodynamically designed wheel, helps you get a bit more range. Talking of range, the batteries of this car are located low in the floor, like all of the proper EVs nowadays. So it's a 73 kilowatt hour battery in this car. That gives this twin synchronous motor machine 305 horsepower. That's enough for 5.2 seconds to 62 miles an hour and 115 miles per hour. I think we can all agree that's plenty fast enough for the road. There are some really cool design features as well. On the doors, you've got these little markers on the handles there. Those logos are continued into the car. Charge port here is electric. Now round the back, it's a real sci-fi light show. You've got these small individual segments of LED lighting. It looks really cool, especially at night. I mean, when these cars are on the road in the early days, people are going to go, what is that? Because this lighting just looks super sci-fi. I really like the clean design of the back here. It makes it feel like something to come out in the future. But of course, this is a car for the now. This car is on sale as we speak. I think we should go and take a look inside. So inside the Ioniq 5, it is as much of a tech fest as you would expect, but it's actually a nice, clean and simplistic interior. We have a big slab of screen here, but unlike the Mercedes, which has the screen spread across the whole area, this is actually split into two areas. You have your driver instrument panel, and then you've got the infotainment screen. It's nice and wide, very sharp graphics, looks smart. You get a lot of information spread across the screen, but of course it can be customized so it's not overwhelming. You can have different data displayed on this screen over here. It shows you miles per hour, shows you range, and the infotainment screen here, you can get sat nav, of course. You can connect to your smartphone. Most of us are going to do that, aren't we? And of course, it will display more details about how the car is using its energy. So as you can see, we've got 100% battery here, 280 miles at the moment because this is a brand new car, so the battery is still getting up to its best. And it shows you here, you've got settings here, and it shows you your road and how much of your range is being used. That green area will change color as you use up some of your range. And then obviously there's information in there about where charge points are in the future. If you're looking at doing a long distance journey, of course, that's going to be very useful because you don't want to have any range anxiety. So this system is really good because it tells you where the chargers are and how easy it will be for you to access them with the range you have. There is a lot of technology in the car in terms of functionality as well. There are 5 USB ports. You've got 1 down here, 2 here, and then 2 in the back for the rear passengers. You also have a 12-volt port here, and then you have an actual plug as well underneath where the rear passenger seats are. So you've got plenty of places to charge your phones or tablets or what have you. Feels quite homely in here as well. I mean, the interior of this particular model, it's a premium spec car, so it's not the very top of the range car. It's nice, it's a good fit and finish. You've got these soft fabrics, the steering wheel feels nice, seating position's really good. It's just a really nice, comfortable place to sit. You can, of course, upgrade and get even higher quality materials, but I think this is going to be probably the top seller because it's a good all-rounder. And there's a lot of space as well. I mean, I'm above average for height and I'm sat in the position I find most comfortable, and behind me there is loads of legroom in the back, and the seating position itself is really very good. You do sit higher than you would do in a typical car. There's a slight crossover feel to the position, but that's great for visibility. And the positioning of the pedals, the positioning of the steering wheel, and just everything you'll need to reach over to feels really well thought out and really well designed. And I think much of that has to do with Albert Biermann, Hyundai's head of R&D, because that guy has worked on some pretty special cars, coming from BMW's M department, making loads of sports cars, and then working on Hyundai's N division machines, which includes their i30N and i20N performance hatches. All of those cars have nailed the ergonomics really well, and I think you can really feel that ethos in this car. And hopefully, that'll also embed into the way this car drives. So, this is the fun bit. Now we're out on track in the Ioniq 5. Should we give it a bit of a test of how it feels to accelerate? Oh, that's pretty quick. That's quick. That's 60 already. So that's basically, 30 to 60 and not a lot of time at all. The car does just build and build with speed. The interesting thing is actually, it doesn't seem to lose acceleration the faster you go up the speed. So you've got this lovely feeling of like effortlessness and this confidence that it gives you that you can just put your foot down and zip through. I think it would be really, really easy to drive through city traffic, and of course, it'd be very easy to get up to motorway speed down a slip road. It just pulls, and there's just a tiny, tiny electric whine, which is a really nice sound actually, because it gives you a signal of the performance you're doing, because otherwise, there's nothing other than road noise to tell you how fast you're going. I feel really confident immediately. It's a big car, as I mentioned earlier. This is an SUV-sized car when it comes to footprint. But actually I can see all four corners really clearly. The mirrors are big, great visibility. Out the back, it's a bit slim, but you've got reversing cameras on this. As soon as you stick it into reverse, you just look at the screen basically and have a glance at the mirrors, of course, as well. And it gives you a really clear picture of what's around you. Come on then, there's a corner, we're on a racetrack. Should we see what happens if I just throw it in a bit like a racing driver? Oh, look at that, it's that's really good. Just turned in, no questions asked. And if you go through this bend here, you can just let the car run the curves. It feels totally composed. Go around a bend, and it's just really positive and really happy to follow the line I give it. And let's just dip a wheel onto the grass, just to emphasize how refined and comfortable this car is. We're on grass now, it's bumpy grass. And I mean, this is stuff, you would never really do in your car unless you were driving onto the lawn because you're going to go watch your kids play cricket or something, but it's really comfortable. It's really cushioned. Deals with the bumps and jiggles really well. Everything feels really, really well put together. The brakes are progressive. The pedal, obviously there's regeneration. This is an electric car. So you might have noticed the paddles on the back of the steering wheel here. Now, if we were in a normal petrol car with gears, these would be the gear change paddles, and obviously you would use them if you wanted to have a bit more fun and take away the car's job of doing the changes. But this is an electric car with only one speed, which means that these are actually used to adjust the recuperation technology. So if you click the right paddle, you reduce the amount of recuperation that the system actually does when you let off the power. So it means that I come off the power now and we just roll as if we're in a normal automatic car. But if I click the left paddle, as I'm doing now, you can actually start to adopt a one pedal driving style. So for anyone not familiar with a one pedal driving style, it basically means you don't really need to touch the brakes, because as soon as you come off the accelerator, the car is just decelerating really, really aggressively and really quite quickly, but not in an unpredictable way, but just in a way that's equivalent to if you were pressing on the brake pedal. And it means that in town, for example, if I were to be approaching a traffic light that was red, I've come off the accelerator and I'm being brought to a stop. I mean, is it going to bring us to, yeah, to a complete stop. So the regenerative tech takes care of all of your deceleration. Of course, apart from in emergency scenarios, the brake pedal does still work, rest assured of that. It's also really nice to see this little button down here on the steering wheel. It's got a drive mode button, and that drive mode button, when I press it, you get a little menu appear up on the screen, and you have an eco mode, a normal mode, and a sport mode. Now, as I said, this is not a sports car. This car is not trying to emulate some kind of hot hatch experience. It is first and foremost an eco car that you would like to, carry your family in and go to the shops with. But the steering is weighted up a little bit, so I'm not, as I go over bumps, my hands aren't jiggling around. I feel really content and confident to place the car quite neatly. It is really, really quite fun. So it's quick, effortless, goes around corners quite nicely, and it's really comfortable. It's such a fantastic all-rounder. I really do think that this is going to be a really strong contender in the class. God, I really like this car. So there's another cool feature of this car actually that's worth pointing out, and it's under the bonnet. Obviously where you'd normally find an engine, it's an electric car. There is no engine in here, but actually there is a big area of storage, and it's actually got some rubber lining at the bottom, so you can put your dirty things in there. If you've got wellies, or you've got, I don't know, a swimming costume that you don't want to put in the car and let it stink out the interior, you can stick it in here and have it nice and far away from where you are. That's a really cool functional thing. And actually around the back of the car, there's a massive boot as well. So there's loads and loads of space and loads of places to put things if you've got a big family or you're going away. So let's go around to the back of the car where I can introduce you to our head of electric vehicles, Abhishek, who's going to talk to you about the charging capabilities of this car. They're pretty cool, aren't they?
They're really cool. It's actually a game changer at this price point. It's got an 800 volt system, which you haven't really seen on many cars yet, because it's really cutting edge. But more importantly, it can charge really quickly, which means
cool.
When you're out in public, you're not really there for that long when you want to stop. It's 18 minutes to charge from like 10 to 80%, which is really fast. And you could add 62 miles of range in about 5 minutes if you wanted to. So that's really, really impressive for a car like this. But also, you can take power out of it.
Take power out of the car?
To take power out of the car.
How does that work?
Well, you get this handy adapter with the car.
I was wondering what that was, right.
You should just plug in, like that, and you expose a 3-pin plug. So you could run any household appliance with it. A hairdryer, a kettle, a smoothie maker.
A smoothie maker?
A smoothie maker.
Ah, here's one you've prepared earlier. Typical smoothie maker,
3-pin plug.
3-pin plug.
In it goes.
That's full power as well. There's no like, you know, it's not a weak power source.
No, it's full power.
That's proper domestic power.
This could do a lot more. I mean, I don't have an oven, but we could have made pizza.
So we've learned all about Hyundai's new cool electric car. Of course, it can make smoothies, it's entertaining to drive, and I think it looks really cool as well. Hopefully you do too. Of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more videos like this, and let us know what you think in the comments of this car, and also how you think it will stack up against its rivals.